Hello, hello. Yes, yes, sure, sure. Thank you, Tamsil sir. Nice introduction. I welcome one and all who joined for the today's lecture. Today, I think so. From the Monday, we have started this workshop on the research methodology, especially, and we have completed 3 units. 2 units, I think so, taken by the Vadwa sir, and second unit of this particular research methodology has been taught by the madam. Now today we have to go to the last unit of this particular paper. All are this particular my slides are visible to all. Okay, 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 okay. uh, Thank you. See, I choose that method, question based method, for this particular topic because you are in the next week, or say might be after the 10th of Feb, you are appearing for the exam, and there will be the 50 marks paper on the external paper on the research methodology. There will be the 4 units, and in that you have to write the answer for these questions. You can see, I think so most of you that gone with the syllabus. The syllabus first point, I divided that syllabus in the, I think so, 10 or say 11 parts. First part is a safe working procedure and the protective environment. In that I included the protective apparel. Next part is the emergency procedure, first aid, laboratory ventilation, safe storage and the use of this particular hazardous chemicals, the safe storage and the use of the hazardous chemical, procedure for working with the substances that pose the hazards. Next type, that split up that topic in the flammable or explosive hazards. Then the 6 point I taken the procedure for working with the gases at pressures above or below the particular level, atmospheric pressure. Then safe storage and the disposal of the waste chemicals, its recovery, recycling and reuse. Then the next 8 part I distributed as a procedure for the laboratory disposal of the explosives, identification, then the verification and the segregation of the laboratory waste. And the 10th point is the disposal of the chemical in the sanitary sewer system. And the last point of the that part is nothing but the incineration and the transportation of hazardous chemicals. So friends, we will go one by one. uh, you can see I have there are the different possible question which are based on these 11 topics that I subdivided. We will go one by one. See, whenever you are working in the lab, see, for the chemistry students, we are dealing with the chemistry lab. All are doing the practicals in the chemistry lab. May I write? Hello. Yes, sir. Okay, your answer. If your answer is yes, then you are taking care of this thing. Which chemicals are hazardous and what safety should be there in the lab? Anybody knows this? Anyone can answer? Hello, I'm audible. Yeah, what that care you have to take while using the concentric acid? Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. Then other, only mass is sufficient to work in the chemical laboratory. Okay, gloves. Okay, very nice of it. Then next, see, basically research methodology is a general subject or say topic that you can answer the any question mentioned above in your own words, in your own manner. There is no limit, there is no barrier while writing the answer for these questions, whatever the questions are there. I will first of all talk about this particular, all you know what is a laboratory, but my that purpose is all should have to explain this all these things properly. I am assuming that no one knows this about the laboratory. You know, laboratory is nothing but a facility. It is a facility for scientific experiments. Such a place where the scientific experiment, or you can call it as a research or scientific teaching, is deal with, or say you can perform with the help of the equipments or say materials. That is, in short, it is nothing but the live demonstrations of the chemical reactions. The such a place is called as the laboratory. That you should remember this thing, because when you approach to any that particular company for the your job purpose, or say for the interview, at that time you people are not able to give the right definition or answer to that interviewer. Please note these things. In the laboratory, you know, the all number of or say various kinds of the reactions going on. Okay, you have to think on that. There will be the small quantities of the hazardous materials. बराबर है ना? जब हम लैब में काम करते हैं तो सब मटेरियल जो है वो अच्छा होता है क्या? नहीं. देयर विल बी द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ, देयर विल बी द स्मॉल ट्रेसेस ऑफ द hazardous material. Okay. Or you can see some equipment may generate the hazardous energy in the research laboratory. That part is there for the research laboratory. So many people from you may join the research field as a career. That's why this part is very much important, as per as you may you supposed to be enter in the research work. When you approach to the PhD, or say you are joining at any research center, like the yesterday sir given the nice example, TIFR is there, BRC is there, okay, then the, you know, the ICT is there, IIT is there. Yeah, they provides a large laboratory for the research purpose. Okay, and when the large laboratories are there, then their safety is also important. Okay, and that's why today that topic is incorporated in your syllabus. Okay, then what are the protective laboratory practices and that particular equipments? Those laboratory where this particular safety of the worker may be the, that the teacher, that may be the researcher, that may be the student. Worker is nothing but the person who is working in the laboratory. Okay, you have to remember this thing. Okay, uh, laboratory, those laboratory procedures or say practices which are accepted by the health and safety departments or say expert as a effective measures in minimizing the potential for employee exposure to the hazardous material or hazardous energy. Protective laboratory practices and the equipments are those laboratories there these facilities are available. Hazard, you know, the harmful substances that present which can harm the that health of the person or say worker. Then the risk, what is the risk? Any that we can say the injury is occurring in the lab or say during the lab work, that nothing but the risk. Whatever the safety is there, that is based on this all this risk and the risk management. First of all, you have to find out the what is the risk in the laboratory, and accordingly you have to find the safety measures for this particular lab. Okay, risk that defined there, some definitions. These are the some definitions. Then the risk assessment that I said. Ki whatever the risks are there in the laboratory, whatever the work you are going to suppose perform in the lab, first of all you have to find out which are the risks are there in your experiment. Okay, supervisor, then the violence in the workplace. You know, if in the laboratory any kind of that particular violence is there, that may leads to the hazardness to the working fellow in the laboratory. Then the working alone in the lab, you may have the staff, then the faculty members or say research, so many research students. Okay, or sometimes you may be working alone in your lab. These are the few definitions that are very much important as far as this topic is concerned. Now first of all we will go with this particular first point. What are the general hazards in the laboratory and what is the safety that you should have to adopt while working in the laboratory, or say which controls supposed to adopt for the hazards free atmosphere or protective environment in the laboratory. That questions we will see in the detail. See, any person if he is working in the laboratory, then there may be the risk of the that particular you can say due to the presence of the hazardous material. Okay, it is a hazardous place for the any person who is working in the lab. Okay, laboratory workers are exposed to the numerous potential hazards including chemical, biological, electrical, physical and radioactive hazards as well as the psychological stresses. This is the very much important word. Psychological stresses are also there. Laboratory safety is governed by the numerous local, state and the federal regulations. Some rules are framed by the that particular research center, that lab, and some rules has been specified by the government. You people may aware, you people may read that the news in the Mahad one tragedy happened in one of the company. Have you read? Anybody knows this incidents? Hello. Anyone can say me about this? Okay, you know what happened there? Hello, I am audible. Okay, what was there in the Mahad? Okay, one of the you can say the plant was there. Okay, and that plant catch up the fire due to the one of the wrong reaction which happened inside that particular plant, and due to that so many peoples has been injured or say lost their lives during this particular incidents. Okay, that's why this particular safety environment or say safety procedures are very much important when you are working in the lab. Lab may be your college lab, lab may be your research center lab, lab may be whatever the your working place. So many people from you may works in the laboratory after the graduation. Here the people who join this session, they may work, they may working in the companies. While working in the companies, you have to take care of these things. See, general hazards, I have listed the few of them. Biological hazards, that may be the bioorganism, okay, that include the exposure to the allergens or say body fluids, microorganism, animal parts, insects, blood, plants material, or say human or say animal waste, bites from the insects or animal. See, these hazards are also available in the laboratory. You have to take care. Okay, we have to identify these particular biological hazards, and we have to prepare the risk. That particular, we have to assess the risk. What will be the risk if any some sort of the insect is present in the lab that may bite to your and it may infect to you. Okay, for example, identify the type of the animal, insect, microorganism, which species it belongs to, the specific aspect of it being used. Example, tissue, heart, etc., and the nature of the blood or say body fluid. Okay, it is it infectious or say poisonous, that you have to identify in the laboratory. If you are working in the clinical laboratory, at that time the different blood samples will be there, and that blood, you don't know the whose blood is there, that blood is contaminated or say pure blood is there. It may have the so many contaminants, so many different disease amongst this particular blood sample. You have to take care of these things. Then the chemical hazard, when we dealing in the chemical laboratories, at that time, you know, so many different hazard substances which can lead to the which can make your health unsafe. Okay, and you have to take care of this thing. It includes chemical hazards, may have in the form of the vapors, gases, mist, dust, fumes, or say smoke. Every smoke will not be the pure one. Okay, you have to take care when the you know, you are working on the alloys, right? You are working on the alloys, you are breaking the alloy, okay, by adding the concentrated HCl. At that time, that lab is very the smoky lab when you are doing this particular experiment. Have you taken this experience of this thing, breaking of the alloy or say breaking of the alloy? Hello, have you observed this? So many that fumes arises when you add or say when you heat that particular alloy in presence of the concentrated HCl, right? जेव्हा तुम्ही एखादा अलाय ब्रेक करता आणि त्याच्यामध्ये जेव्हा कॉन्सन्ट्रेटेड HCl टाकता आणि त्याला हिट करता ब्रेकिंगसाठी, तर तेव्हा त्या फ्युम्स असतात, त्याचा त्रास होतो आपल्याला. जर तुम्ही बघायचं असेल, हा एक्सपेरिमेंट इनऑर्गॅनिकमध्ये आहेत, आलं लक्षात, तर तो पूर्ण लॅबमध्ये धूर होतो आणि आपल्याला त्रास होतो. ओके, बहुत सी तकलीफ हमें होती है, इनहेलेशन का जो प्रॉब्लम होता है, इसलिए लैब में आगे के पार्ट में वेंटिलेशन के बारे में हमने देखना है. See, whenever the any type of the hazardous material is present in your lab, first of all you have to find the risk of that particular material, and accordingly you have to prepare the chart for the safety. Physical hazards, so many different types of the physical hazards are there. They are associated with the kinetic, electrical, pneumatic, hydraulic. Few examples are mentioned over there. You can see there. Environmental factors are there. Then the equipment factors are there. Miscellaneous physical that particular hazards are there. Environment is nothing but the when sometime the temperature is high, sometime humid, that atmosphere is there, or say due to the sunlight you can have the some physical hazards due to the sunlight also. Then extreme land weather, marine weather, okay, strong winds are there, fire, engulfment, engulfment. These are the that particular list is there. So many physical hazards are there in the different form. See, while writing the answer to this question, you have to write in your own words. Whatever the material is mentioned over here, it is not necessary that all material you have to write it in the exam. You can write on your own. Then the ergonomic hazards are there. these ergonomic hazards are nothing but the interaction between the two persons or say two worker. Okay, if there is a miscommunication or say if there will be no proper interaction between the two persons in the lab, this particular ergonomic hazards is present in the lab. Okay, and that cause or say that may harm to the that particular your musculoskeletal system. Musculoskeletal system is nothing but the your thinking capacity may hamper due to this particular miscommunication or improper interaction. Some examples are also mentioned there. Then the psychosocial hazards. If so many violence is there in the workplace, then the stress is there in the workplace, then workplace is bullying at that time, these things are there. Then what are the general safety procedures or say rules are there which we have to follow while working in the lab? First of all, we have to listen whatever the instructions given by the our supervisor or say teacher or say our guide, and we have to read whatever the instructions provided to you in the handbook, in the manual, or say whatever the material you are using for performing the experiment. At that time you have to read the instructions carefully. Wear the safety goggles to protect your eyes from the chemicals, heated materials, etc. Notify your teachers if any accident occurs. If any accident is occurring in the lab, immediately you have to inform to the your concerned authority, your supervisor. During laboratory work, keep your hands away from your face. Know the locations of the fire extinguisher, etc. What we have to follow when we are using the glassware? When we are using the glassware, at that time we have to know what is the hazard is there due to this particular apparatus or say equipment. Okay, when we are using the glass material, check the condition of that particular glass. Whenever you are taking the beaker or say conical flask, you are not checking it, you are directly pouring the washing it and pouring the solution in that, and when you are putting it for the heat, at that time it broken down. असं किती जणांच्या सोबत झालंय? ऐसा कितने लोगों के साथ हुआ है कि कुछ लिया है केमिकल और हीटिंग के लिए रखा है तो कोनिकल फ्लास्क जो है वो क्रैक हो गया है? एनीबडी? हेलो, आई एम ऑडिबल? I think so people are not there. Okay, okay, I got the responses, very nice of it. So you know, on the glass that mention thing is that glass apparatus or say material is used as a borosilicate or say silicate. Okay, then you can say the that very uh, that particular whatever the material used for the preparation of this the glassware should be the proper one. Inform your teacher about any broken, chip or say cracked glassware. It should not be used. That is your that is a rule you have to follow while working in the lab. Do not pick up broken glass with your bare hands. Never force glass tubing into the rubber stoppers. Never eat or drink in a lab glassware. Don't use that beaker for the drinking purpose. Okay, hot glass does not look hot. Don't pick up any glassware that may have been heated. You don't know, there is no any change when you hit the glass. Okay, the color of the glass become the opaque or say transparent whenever you are hitting to the glass. That's why don't touch that any glassware if you don't know it is whether it is heated or not. Then the chemical safety, it is a very much important. You people, what you are doing when the practical exam is there, at that time you people coming in the hurry up that condition, and you are so much confused. You are coming in the lab, you are taking the paper, teacher asked to write the theory but you are not writing the theory, right? You are directly starting the experiment, okay, without reading anything, and you are mixing the chemicals. Whenever you have to perform the experiment, at that time you have to read the proper process or the procedure, and then only proceed for that. बरोबर है ना कि जब भी कोई एक्सपेरिमेंट परफॉर्म करना है तो आपको क्या करना है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू हैव टू रीड द प्रोसीजर. Without reading any procedure, don't do the experiment. Then this particular chemical safety you have to consider. Then electrical safety is there. You know, in the laboratories the switches are there. Don't touch any equipment or say any switch, electrical switches. Then the heating safety. These are the general that particular rule are there which you have to follow. Which control supposed to adopt for hazards free atmosphere or protective environment in the laboratory? First of all, we have to determine the risk level, then consider the following step for the protective environmental in the laboratory. One of the control is the engineering control. लैब में लगने वाली जो भी चीज़ें हैं उसको एक पर्टिकुलर इंजीनियर डिज़ाइन करता है, पर्टिकुलर कंपनी डिज़ाइन करती है, तो दैट इज़ अ इंजीनियरिंग कंट्रोल. In that you can control or say while designing the plant or say equipment or process, there should be the minimum hazard. Whatever the unit or say equipment is there, it should not lead to any hazard during working in the while working in the laboratory. Engineering controls are very reliable way to control the worker exposure as long as the controls are designed, used and maintained properly. Three types of the engineering controls are there. One is the process control, second one is the enclosure and or isolation of the emission sources and ventilations. Examples is given in the process control. Wet method instead of the dry you can use, mechanical transportation instead of the manual. Then the guards you can use, enclosure and isolation, glow boxes, remote control devices you can use, ventilation, there should be the fume hoods, then the biological safety cabinets should be there. Okay, these are the few that particular engineering control. Then second one is the administrative controls. Administrative controls are nothing but the modification of work processes or activities to minimize the risk. See, listen it carefully. It is very much important part as far as your exam is concerned. Okay, these controls are very much important. We have to prepare the some sign or say labels. We have to put it on the that particular chemicals. Training on same one work procedure. When you are coming to the lab, at that time your supervisor, teacher or instructor has to inform you regarding the safety of the lab or safe work procedure. Completing RMS online general safety courses. You can go for the numerous that research methodology or say safety courses online. Okay, then restricting access to a work area, restricting tasks to only those components are qualified to perform the work. Don't allow anyone to perform any experiment in the lab if he is not master of that particular subject. Scheduling maintenance and high exposure when few workers are present. Rotating job schedules to limit time an individual worker is exposed. Using a work rest schedule that limits the length of time a worker is exposed. You know, when you are joining any company is calling the people or say workers in the shift mode. Okay, in the morning, noon, then the night. Okay, these three sessions are there. No one person can work for the 24 hours. It is again the dangerous for him or her to work continuously for the 24 hours. Okay, that is the administrative control. Then the third control is very much important, that is in our hand. When we are working in the lab, when we want the safe atmosphere, first of all we have to make safe. सबसे पहले क्या करना है, हमें सेफ बनना है. हम सेफ कैसे बनेंगे, तो आपने पैंडेमिक में देखा होगा, कोविड के टाइम में सबसे ज़्यादा पॉपुलर नाम था पीपीई किट. दैट पीपीई फुल फॉर्म ऑफ द पीपीई किट इज व्हाट, पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिव इक्विपमेंट. And personal protective equipment consists of the so many things. You have to personally protect yourself by adopting the so many aids. So many aids are nothing but the eye protections. For the eye protections, you have to use the glasses, goggles or say face shield. In the COVID, so many people use these things. Appropriate clothing. You have to use proper clothing when you are working in the any lab. Then the laboratory coat, or say you can call it as apron. Teacher is asking to you, please wear the apron while performing the experiment. So many people saying why the apron is required, but the apron is very much required. Hard hat, okay, steel toed boots, that proper boots should be there, respirator, and the gloves. These are the PPE, that particular personal protective equipments are there. PPE kit consists of these things, okay. Then the that protective apparel, that particular point is there in your syllabus. It refers to protective clothing for the eyes, hair, ears, hand, respiratory system, body, and the feet. It is utilized to protect the individuals from the risk of injury and infection while minimizing the exposure to chemical, biological, and physical hazard. These are the safety rules, or say safety procedure, that one has to adopt while working in the laboratory. Have you got this particular point? See, the whatever the material I will provide to you on the mail. Okay, don't worry, you will get all these things within a 2 or 3 days. I am preparing all these question answer type material, which will very much useful to you while attempting the exam. Okay, till the Sunday or Monday, may you will get the full that PDF of this all the material. Okay. Second, the next topic of your syllabus is the thing about the emergency procedures. Any tragedy you observe in your lab? कोणाला असा अनुभव आहे का? Anybody has having any experience? Acha, no. Okay, good. Very nice of it. See, sometime if you are performing any organic transformation reaction, and at that time you are using the explosive chemical, they may catch the fire. That may happen, huh? That may happen. It should not be happen, but due to the, that we can say, negligence of ourselves, that may happen in our lab. Or say sometime the electrical shock may that may be there because of the that broken down of the wires and all these things. Okay. See, what our that particular whatever the in the when we are working in the lab is having their own that process, or say plan for the safety, or say for the emergency handling. Any emergency arises in the lab, at that time we have to follow the following procedure. First one is the chemical emergencies. Any spilling, any kind of the spilling is there, involves the hazardous material, or say flammable material, or say release of the gases, or say any substances. Okay, at that time, first of all you have to inform in the most of the colleges, or say most of the lab, that alarm will not be there, but you can inform to your particular head of institute. If you feel any spill, any kind of the spilling is there from the any chemical bottle, or say from the any reaction, immediately you have to inform to your head of institute, or say whatever the supervisor, whoever the supervisor present there. Or in the some of the that highly developed laboratories, you can find out the fire alarm is there. You have to press the button of this fire alarm, and you have to ask everyone to evacuate the building. Immediately आपको क्या बोलना है कि building खाली करो. Then immediately call to emergency contact number, or say head of department or institute. Notify the dispatcher of the type of emergency. They will notify appropriate emergency personnel. Head of department may request assistance from the chemical response team. These are the second option for the second step for the emergency procedure. If you call on the emergency number, be sure to meet emergency personnel at the door. When you call to the any helpline, at that time anyone will approach to you, that particular from the concerned authority. You have to spare the time with that fellow, and you have to say nature of whatever the emergency arises in the lab. Okay, and you have to guide them about the exact location of the whatever the emergency was happened there in your particular area. If there are the injured victims, ऐसी कोई इमरजेंसी आई है, ऐसा कुछ हुआ है कि जिसमें विक्टिम्स है, प्रोवाइड देम अ मिनिमम नेसेसरी फर्स्ट एड ओनली इफ देयर इज नो डेंजर टू यूर सेल्फ. अपने को कुछ तकलीफ नहीं होने वाली होंगी तो यू कैन गिव द फर्स्ट एड टू दैट फेलो और से दैट विक्टिम. If providing assistance will endanger you, do not attempt intervention. Wait for the emergency response personnel at the front of the building. If chemical have splashed into the victim's eyes, अगर आंख में कुछ केमिकल जाता है, okay, flush the eyes. Immediately you have to flush the eyes. Okay, immediately you have to flush the eyes with the help of the pure water. Okay, whatever the water bottle you have, immediately take that water and wash the eyes with the help of this particular water at least for the 15 minutes or until the whoever if your lab person called some expert or say doctor or say any expert that medical personnel, you have to wash the eyes till approaching to the doctor. If chemicals have splashed onto the victim's body, if the chemical falls on the body, at that time you have to drench the victim with the water at the safety shower. Immediately you have to carry that fellow in the below the shower while removing any contaminated clothing. Okay, first of all you have to take in front of the shower, you have to put that person in front of the shower. Okay, and before removing all the whatever the cloths are present, have clean lab coat available to protect the modesty of the victim. You can give the that particular wear the coat. For small or say low hazard spills, restrict access to the area and notify surrounding personnel. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, that is a PPE, and use suitable spill cleanup equipment and products that are designed for the types of the spilled chemical. Contact concerned department if you need equipment or would like help designing a chemical spill kit. Why this thing is mentioned is that see, when someone is some of from you may join the PhD course. While doing the PhD, if you are chosen the topic in the research is of the pesticides or say any microbial activity on which you are supposed to work, at that time you have to adopt the particular equipment that may protect you. Okay, package and dispose of the waste in the appropriate manner. Complete an incident report and notify the head of department. For larger spills that do not constitute any an emergency, restrict access to the area. जहाँ पे आपको पता है कि कभी कभी रास्ते में जाते समय टैंकर पलटी होता है, बराबर है, तो बहुत सारा केमिकल्स रास्ते पे आ जाता है, तो एट दैट टाइम या आपके प्लेस में आपके लेबोरेटरी में बहुत ऐसा केमिकल जो है वो स्पिल आउट हुआ है, एट दैट टाइम यू हैव टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट द एंट्री टू दैट एरिया. ओके, नोटिफाई, इमरजेंसी नंबर पे कॉल करना है और कंसर्न फेलो जो कंसर्न अथॉरिटी है वो वहाँ पे आके उसको पूरा क्लीन कर लेंगी. By following the above procedure and the plan, one can come out with the particular emergency arises in the laboratory. The next question: what are the different emergency equipment that should be available in the laboratory? The question may arise in the exam, like the write a note on the emergency equipment of the laboratory. These are the minimum equipment that mentioned in your that particular slide. First is the fire extinguisher, fire blankets, fire alarms, fire doors, safety showers, eye wash unit, first aid kit, spill kits. All are aware with this. In the college or say in the laboratory, you can see there are the fire extinguishers, but you people should have to take the training how to use the fire extinguisher. Okay, if the tragedy or say emergency or say any incident is at the small scale, you can control with the help of the particular fire extinguisher. सबको पता है ना फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर का रोल क्या होता है? What is the role of fire extinguisher? Anybody? Mohita? Anybody is there? Ravi is there. Rasika is there. Anybody is able to answer this? See, interaction should be there. Then and then only that lecture will be the fruitful. Otherwise, there will be no use of this lecture. Ravi, then Vinay, Divya. Anyone is there? Okay, what is the use of fire extinguisher? Gaurav? Aniket? Please say by unmuting yourself. अरे फायर एक्सटिंग्विशरचा वापर कशासाठी कराल? राईट आहे, पण ते आपल्याला वापरता पण आलं पाहिजे ना, बरोबर की नाही? यस यस यस, पण आपण जिकडे आता बघा, आता तुम्ही MSc ला आहात म्हणजे तुम्ही कुठल्या तरी लॅबमध्ये कामाला जाणार आहात, बरोबर आहे की नाही? मग ह्या ज्या गोष्टी आहेत, फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर कसं ऑपरेट करायचं म्हणजे स्वतःची काळजी स्वतः कशी घेऊ शकतो, यासाठी आपण काय करू शकतो की ट्रेनिंग घेऊ शकतो. ऑनलाईन ट्रेनिंग अवेलेबल असतात. आलं लक्षात? तुमच्या परिसरमध्ये कॉलेज असेल किंवा कुठली तुमची जॉब प्लेस असेल, तिकडे तुम्ही बघाल की छोटे छोटे फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे असतात. हां, त्याचं कोडिंग आहे ABC ड्राय पावडर वगैरे वगैरे वगैरे, त्याच्या डिटेलमध्ये मी जात नाही. वेगवेगळ्या पर्पजसाठी आग असेल तर त्याच्यावरती नियंत्रण मिळवण्यासाठी CO2 ड्राय CO2चा पण फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर येतो. या गोष्टी वापरल्या जातात. की आता आग कशाची आहे, केमिकलची असेल तर वेगळं कॉम्बिनेशन असतं, कागदाची असेल तर वेगळं असतं. आलं लक्षात? ह्या सर्व गोष्टी आहेत. देन सेफ्टी शॉवर्स, safety showers and eye washes should be available. That facility should be there in the lab. फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर्स, आता फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर असून फायदा नाही आहे. ते फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर जे आहेत ते रिन्यू करून घ्यायला लागतात. ते प्रॉपर जी कन्सर्न अथॉरिटी असते त्याच्याकडनं त्याचं इन्स्पेक्शन करून घ्यायला पाहिजे. अदरवाईज देअर विल बी नो यूज. ओनली द फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर्स आर देअर अँड इफ दे आर नॉट वर्किंग यू कांट सर्वाइव्ह युअर सेल्फ, राईट? देन द फर्स्ट एड किट्स लॅबमध्ये असतातच. तुम्हाला माहीत आहे की बर्नरची क्रीम असतेच, की चटका लागला ही किंवा हाताला जर चटका लागला, ओके, तर बर्नरची क्रीम लावली जाते. एखादा जर कट वगैरे झाला तर ताबडतोब ड्रेसिंग करण्यासाठी आपल्या कॉलेजमध्ये किंवा लॅबमध्ये मटेरियल अवेलेबल असतं. These are the what you can say the that equipments required in your lab. Then one of the question is there, write a note on the first aid in the laboratory. See, whenever the small scale that injuries happens in your lab, you have to handle on your own by concerning with the lab supervisor or say head of the department. You can see if the burn is there, so what you have to do, जर तुम्हाला जळलंय, चटका लागला, तुमचा हात बर्नरवरती गेला, बोट गेला, काय झालं तर काय करायला पाहिजे? आपल्याला पाण्याने धुतलं पाहिजे. पहिले ती जिकडे काही आपल्याला चटका लागलाय किंवा आग लागली ती जागा काय करायला पाहिजे? थंड पाण्याने धुतली पाहिजे. ओके, त्याने काय होणार आहे? जे काही आग होते, आग लागल्यावरती ती आग कमी होणार आहे. ओके, जब कुछ हमें ऐसा महसूस फायर के कांटेक्ट में आते हैं तो इमीडिएटली वी हैव टू फ्लश विद द कोल्ड वाटर. इफ द कट्स आर देयर, okay, use the safety gloves. Okay, then wear the safety gloves. Then if the minor cuts are there, okay, you have to press that immediately. Immediately what will happen? There will be the stoppage of the bleeding. Okay, apply the cold compress to that particular cuts to reduce the swelling. Then the fainting, if that case happened in your lab, at that time provide the fresh air to that particular person. Then eyes, if any injury happens in the eyes, that we have seen, we have to wash the eyes, okay. And if that particular itching or say whatever the infection is out of control, then you have to immediately consult to the expert, medical expert. Then the poisoning, see, if the poisoning is happening in the laboratory, you have to identify the substance which is responsible for the poison. If the spills on the skins are there, then immediately you have to flush with the help of the water. For the acid spill, जेव्हा तुमच्या अंगावरती ॲसिड पडतं तेव्हा तुम्हाला यू कॅन अप्लाय द बेकिंग सोडा सॉल्युशन और से, जर तुमच्या अंगावरती ॲसिड पडतं तेव्हा बेकिंग सोडा वापरायचा आहे. आणि जेव्हा बेस डेंजरस बेड और से हजार्डस बेस आपल्या अंगावर पडतं तेव्हा यू कॅन अप्लाय द विनेगर और से बोरिक ॲसिड अवेलेबल इन द lab. Then next is the electrical shock. If electrical shocking is there, at that time you have to switch off the main switch of the electricity. That care we have to take, that things we have to do for the first aid. These are the first aid. Then the one standard procedure is there. That standard procedure is nothing but the DRSABCD. That stands for the danger response, send for help, okay. That all comes under this particular thing, DRSABCD. That is a standard process that we have to follow for the first aid, for the inhalation, okay. Then you can see for the eye contact, for the skin contact, you can read this DRSABCD procedure on the net. Very simple things, that whatever we have seen in the above mentioned part, that is there in the particular DRSABCD procedure. How to take care of the eyes if the any injury is occurring. Okay. Then we have to talk about the, see, which part we have covered till now. Once again we will see safe working protective procedure that we have seen. Then the protective apparel, that is a PPE, that we have seen. Then the what emergency procedures and the first aid we have to adopt in the laboratory. Means total 6 questions we have discussed right now. Till time we have discussed the total 6 questions, okay, and that are very much important as far as the your exam is concerned. येते का लक्षात सर्वांना? 6 प्रश्न आतापर्यंत आपण बघितले. बघा काय काय आहेत ते 6 प्रश्न. What are the general hazards in the laboratory? What is the safety working procedure in the laboratory? Not necessary you have to write whatever mentioned in right now. You can write in your own words, okay. There is no barrier for writing the answer for any questions. You may write in your own words by reading the different material, okay. Now we have to talk about 2 questions are there, different types of the questions are there. Laboratory, about the laboratory ventilation. Define the laboratory ventilation. Explain in detail any one types of the laboratory ventilation. Comment on general laboratory ventilation. Laboratory ventilation म्हणजे काय रे, कोण सांगेल? Anybody can answer for this question? Yes, Satyajit. Hello, anyone is there? हा, व्हेंटिलेशन बद्दल काय वाटतं तुम्हाला? What you have the your answer with you? Yes, please answer. हा, म्हणजे नक्की काय करायचं? व्हेंटिलेशन कसं असलं पाहिजे? तुम्ही बघितलेत कॉलेजच्या लॅब किंवा जे असतात त्याला खिडक्या भरपूर असतात, दरवाजे मोठे असतात. ते कशासाठी असतात? टू हॅव द प्रॉपर व्हेंटिलेशन इन द लॅबोरेटरी. Okay. I will provide all the material to you within a 2 or 3 days. Today just I am explaining all these things. Okay. Okay. See, which type of the fire extinguisher should be present in the laboratory. So almost in all laboratory you can find the ABC type of the fire extinguisher. Okay, that may come for the MCQ purpose. Okay, in the any competitive exam. Okay, in the laboratory you may have the ABC type of the that particular fire extinguishers. Okay, see what should be there in the laboratory ventilation. Laboratory ventilation means you should be there that free air exit and that entry of the free air or say pure air should be there, that we can you can call it as a properly ventilated lab. If the earlier I said, if you are breaking down the alloys with the help of the concentrated HCl, and that fumes are there in the lab and that fumes are not escaping out the lab, that may hamper your that particular health, and that's why the proper ventilation should be there, that exhaust fan should be there. Or in some cases, the very much important that the question is asked to you, whatever question I mentioned now, that questions are there in your paper. Okay, in the university examination. See, laboratory ventilation, the deteriorating lab buildings, substandard health and safety conditions, overcrowding, challenges of attracting and retaining quality personnel, keep it simple, minimize mechanical parts, minimize maintenance, maximize flexibility for the goal. Now, in that we will see the example of the fume hood. Fume hood. For the ventilation, proper ventilation in the lab, you have to cover your lab with the help of the fume hoods. तुम्ही बरेच लोक मुंबईमधल्या हॉटेलमध्ये जात असता आणि त्यांच्या किचनला फ्यूम हूड लावलेलं असतं, बरोबर आहे, बघितलं कोणी? नाही? अरे वा, गुड, व्हेरी नाईस ऑफ इट. तुम्ही कधी सबवेनी गेलात का? CST ला गेल्यानंतर तुम्ही खाली रस्त्याने चालता, बरोबर आहे, अंडरग्राऊंड रस्त्यामध्ये जाता, तेव्हा तुम्ही बघितले तिकडे पण फ्यूम हूड लावलेले आहेत. आलं लक्षात? त्यांनी काय होतं की एअर एक्सचेंज होत राहतो, आतली हवा बाहेर जाते, बाहेरची हवा आतमध्ये येते आणि त्यामुळे प्रॉपर व्हेंटिलेशन राहतो, म्हणून त्या बोगद्यातून आपण सिक्युअरली आणि प्रॉपरली चालतो, म्हणजे आपल्याला श्वास प्रॉपर घेता येतो. आलं लक्षात? आता फ्यूम हूड फंक्शन अँड फेल्युअर. फ्यूम हूडचे कार्य काय आहेत? तर फ्यूम हूड सर्वात पहिले काय करतं की हवेमधले जे कंटॅमिनंट्स असतात, एअरमधले कंटॅमिनंट असतात, त्याला बाहेर घेऊन जातं, ऑपरेटरपासून दूर करतं किंवा त्या प्लेसपासून बाहेर फेकून देतं. स्वीप ब्रिदिंग झोन विथ क्लीन एअर. त्या हुडमुळे काय होतं, आपल्याला एक स्वच्छ हवा जी श्वासोच्छवासासाठी ब्रिदिंगसाठी मिळते. ओके, देन इंटिमेट्स टू प्रॉपर ऑपरेशन. डू नॉट यूज दॅट फ्रंट 6 inches. डू नॉट ब्लॉक एअर फ्लो स्लॉट्स. जे काही स्लॉट्स असतात हुडचे, ते तुम्ही ब्लॉक करता कामा नये. जनरल लॅबोरेटरी व्हेंटिलेशन. In all of the laboratories you can see the mechanical ventilation is there, and use in and out exhaust of the air in the most of the laboratories. Okay, design the air change rate for each laboratory room to provide the following: adequate makeup air for LEV including the fume hoods and biosafety cabinets. Generally you have to make available the safety hoods in the lab. Then adequate tempering for personal comfort and laboratory requirement. Document design air change rate for each laboratory space. Documents show the design including location of supply, diffusers, exhaust grills and LED optimized ventilation effectiveness including the capture and removal of the emissions and mixing of the air. You can use the different journals or say different books for the further information. Here determination of the laboratory airflow rates to better understand the university expectations. That reference is given. Combined general Combined general and the fume hood exhaust systems are preferred where their applications can provide reduced cost and energy use without compromising safety or system integrity. The following should include unless alternate design strategies are approved, that we have to follow. We have to use pressure independent air terminal units for balancing as we needed. Fume hood should not be sole means of a room air exhaust. फक्त फ्यूम हुडच एक्झॉस्टचे ऑप्शन नसला पाहिजे. ओके. प्रोव्हाइड एक्सेस कॅपॅसिटी फॉर इक्विपमेंट एजिंग अँड फ्युचर एक्सपान्शन. डिझाईन फॉर नॉईज लेवल. We have to maintain noise level also. Do not provide operable windows. Direction of airflow should be from low hazard to high hazard areas. Designed to maintain negative pressure relative to the adjacent non-lab areas. Provide an offset of the 10% or say 100 CFM per door to the corridor whichever is greater. मीन्स तुम्हाला काय ठेवायला पाहिजे, लॅब आणि कॉरिडोर मधलं अंतरे जास्त ठेवायला पाहिजे, कारण की जे काही फ्युम्स लॅबच्या आहेत त्या इझिली पासआउट झाल्या पाहिजेत. प्रोव्हाइड ॲडिक्वेट मेकअप एअर. 90% of the exhaust should be there in the lab. Locate the casework and equipment so as not to interfere with the ventilation. असे काही वस्तू तुम्ही त्या दारात किंवा खिडकीमध्ये नाही ठेवल्या पाहिजेत ज्याच्यामुळे तुमचा येणारा वारा आणि जाणारी जी आतमधली जी फ्युम्स आहेत त्याला काही इजा होईल. चूज लोकेशन टाइप अँड नंबर ऑफ सप्लाय एअर डिफ्युजर सो ॲज नॉट टू compromise performance of the fume hoods or other LEV. Then ventilate and alarm cold rooms meant for the particular human occupancy. These are the few that you can say the steps mentioned for the proper ventilation in the laboratory. This is the one of the question, means total the 8 questions. In the ventilation you can write in your own word. Define laboratory ventilation. The definition you can write. There should be the proper that you can say the free air. There should be the proper exhaust system in the laboratory. It is called as a laboratory ventilation. And explain in detail any one types of the laboratory ventilation. So at that time you have to answer for this question is nothing but the fume hood. That is a another method, that is a particular another way to have the proper laboratory ventilation. Then next part of your syllabus is the safe storage and use of the hazardous chemicals. Procedure for working with the substance that pose the hazard. Here discuss any two general guidelines for the safe storage of the hazardous chemicals. Write down the general guidelines for the storage of chemicals in laboratory. How hazardous chemicals are classified. Write a note on toxic, harmful, irritating chemicals. These are the 4 different types of the questions are based on this particular topic. Safe storage and uses of the hazardous chemicals, procedures for working with the substances that pose the hazard. These are the this is the topic on that. The 4 different types of the questions may come in the exam. All are getting this? Okay, I am audible. Okay. तुम्ही सर्वांनी लॅबमध्ये बघितलं असेल की प्रत्येक केमिकल जो असतो वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे केमिकल लॅबमध्ये असतात आणि ते वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी ठेवलेले असतात. याचं कारण काय आहे, तो त्याचं जे स्टोरेज केलं जातं ते सेफ केलं पाहिजे. अदरवाईज काय होईल, तुम्हाला माहिती आहे की एखादी केमिकलची बॉटल असेल, इफ एनी केमिकल कंटेनर इज दॅट, ओके, दॅट मे हॅव देअर ओन रिॲक्शन. नेचरमध्ये नेचरचा रूल आहे की कुठलीही वस्तू जी आहे ती ॲटमॉस्फिअर सोबत रिॲक्ट होत असते आणि ही रिॲक्शन आपल्याला डोळ्यांनी दिसत नाही. वी कांट सी विथ द नेकेड आईज. वॉट एव्हर द रिॲक्शन, that reactions we can't see with the help of the naked eyes. This is again the microscopic study. By using the microscope one can observe which kind of the reactions are there. Numerous types of the reactions occurred in the storage room. Okay, that we have to care. Don't buy or store chemicals you do not need. बेसिक रूल आहे केमिकल सेफ्टीचा और सेफ स्टोरेजचा. आपल्याला जर गरज नसेल तर ते केमिकल खरेदी करायचं नाही किंवा त्याला स्टोअर करायचं नाही. स्टोर chemicals in their original container. That is one of the safety as per as the storage safe storage is concerned. की लेबल दुसरं आहे आणि त्यात केमिकल दुसरं आहे असं करता कामा नये. टेक द केअर ऑफ दिस थिंग. द ओरिजिनल कंटेनर वॉज डिझाईन टू होल्ड द केमिकल विदाउट डिग्रेडिंग. द ओरिजिनल कंटेनर विल हॅव अन ॲक्युरेट लेबल. आता बघा, तुम्ही बऱ्याच जणांनी बघितलं असेल की कॉन्सन्ट्रेटेड ॲसिड असतात, बरोबर आहे, ते ग्लास बॉटलमध्ये असतात, बरोबर आहे ना. त्याला सॉईलवरती ठेवलेलं असतं, सिलिका असते आणि सिलिकावरती ते वाळू असते, वाळूवरती ठेवलेलं असतं. का? त्याचं कारण माहिती आहे? एनीबडी नोज दिस? एनीवन कॅन आन्सर? कोणी बघितलंय का लॅबमध्ये कॉन्सन्ट्रेटेड ॲसिड्स कसे ठेवलेले असतात? हां, मग ते ठेवण्यामागचं कारण काय असतं? कारण की तुम्हाला माहिती आहे की सिलिका सोबत त्या ॲसिडची रिॲक्शन लवकर होत नाही. इफ एनी केमिकल come in contact with this concentrated acid, there will be the possibility of the any explosive reaction or any fire catching reaction may happen due to that kept in the that particular on the silica. Okay, and that particular concentrated acid most of the times they are put it in the glass container. Okay, original container will have the accurate label. Serious injury can result when people try to identify chemicals with missing or uncertain labels by smelling, tasting or touching. Okay, if you do any things with the chemical container, if you are altering the position or say you can pouring one chemical in the another label bottle, at that time it may lead to the hazard to us, that we have to taste this thing. Always wear appropriate safety gear and work with the safe environment. Always dispose of the chemical safety. Poor storage practices can cause injury. जर तुम्ही प्रॉपर जर स्टोरेज करणार नसेल तर दे मे लीड टू द इंजुरी. Improper and non-existent labeling of the chemicals in the storage of the chemicals beyond the recommended shelf life, degradation of the chemical storage containers. Now we have to see some modes. Some modes we have to see that we can use. See, if the strong acids or the strong bases are there, there will be the burn if you are touching directly. If the flammable material is there, then the heat burns will be there. If any poisoning material is there which can infect us, or say if any chronic illness is there, okay, so any chemical can attack to us. Okay, chemical categories in the lab, you know, the acids are there, bases are there, oxidizers are there, okay, lyse sensitive chemicals are there, okay, carcinogens are there, then pyrophoric substances are there, flammable materials are there. There are the different types of this particular materials are available in the lab. If the acid category is there, okay, if the chemical is having the acid, at that time that you have to store in the large bottles, okay, on low shelf or in acid cabinets. म्हणजे जनरली ॲसिड हे लार्ज बॉटलमध्ये ठेवले पाहिजेत आणि खाली ठेवले पाहिजेत. देन सेग्रिगेट ऑक्सिडायझिंग ॲसिड फ्रॉम द ऑर्गॅनिक ॲसिड, फ्लेमेबल्स अँड combustible materials. Segregate acids from the bases and active metals such as the sodium, potassium, etc. Use bottle carrier for transporting the acid bottles. जिकडे मोठ्या मोठ्या ॲसिडच्या बॉटल घेऊन जायचे असतात तिकडे कॅरियर वापरला पाहिजे. हॅव स्पिल कंट्रोल पिलोज or acid neutralizers available in case of the spill. Example, strong acids, strong oxidizing acids, organic acids. The examples is given. Okay, chromic acid is there, nitric acid is there, then the acetic acid, phenol. Now we have to talk about the chemical category bases. जर बेस असेल store bases and acids separate from one another. That is the main that thing you have to adopt while storing these two chemicals. दोघे वेगळे ठेवले पाहिजे. Store solution of inorganic hydroxide in polyethylene containers. Save spill control pillows or caustic neutralizer available for the spills. Here we have to use the caustic material or say caustic soda, you can say. Ammonium hydroxide is there, calcium hydroxide is there, okay, sodium hydroxide is there, potassium hydroxide is there, carbonates are there, bicarbonates are there. They all are coming under the category of the bases. Then flammable material is there, okay. At that time you have to put it in the safety cans or say cabinet. Segregate this particular flammable material from the oxidizing acid or say oxidizer. Keep away from any source of the ignition. फ्लेमेबल मटेरियलला आपण काय केलं पाहिजे, लांबच ठेवलं पाहिजे फ्लेम पासून और से हीट पासून किंवा स्पार्क्स पासून. नो वेअर फायर फाइटिंग इक्विपमेंट इज स्टोर अँड हाउ टू यूज. आय वन्स अगेन अपील टू यू दॅट you may aware about the handling of the fire extinguisher. It is very much essential. Some of the flammable material is noted here. You can see the flammable solids are nothing but a benzoyl peroxide, phosphorus, calcium carbide, picric acid. These are the flammable solids, and flammable gases: acetylene, ethylene oxide, butane, hydrogen, ethane, propane, ethylene. These are the flammable gases that may present in your lab. That cylinder may be there. Chemical categories: oxidizers. We have to store it in the cool and dry places. Keep away from the flammable. We are talking about the storage of the chemicals. Okay. Some will be the hazardous chemicals, that some may be the flammable one. Okay. 4 different kind of the questions are there that we have already seen. Discuss any 2 general guidelines for the safe storage of the hazardous chemicals. Write the general guidelines for this particular thing. You can write any point what you want. For the acid you can write, for the base you can write, for the flammable material you can write. Okay. If the oxidizers are there, that you have to store in the cool or say dry place. Okay, you have to keep away from the flammable and the combustible materials such as the paper or wood. Keep it away from the reducing agents such as the zinc, alkaline metals, formic acid. Examples are given: ammonium dichromate, nitrates, ammonium persulfate, permanganic acid, benzoyl peroxide, okay, periodic acid. These are the you can say the oxidizer. Chemical categories: pyrophoric substances, store it in the cool place. Okay, store in the containers that omit the air. Beware of low humidity circumstances in which the static electricity may be high. The example is given: pyrophoric substances: boron, cadmium, calcium, phosphorus, diborane, dichloroborane to that furaldehyde. Okay, these are the some chemicals which are available in our lab. Chemical categories: light sensitive chemicals, avoid exposure to light. जेव्हा कोई लाईट ॲक्टिव्ह केमिकल्स असतील किंवा लाईट सेन्सिटिव्ह केमिकल्स असतील त्यांना लाईटपासून दूर ठेवले पाहिजे किंवा का तर त्यांची ॲक्टिव्हिटी कमी होईल. स्टोर इन एम्बर बॉटल्स इन अ कूल ड्राय प्लेस. ओके, यू हॅव टू पुट इट अवे फ्रॉम द लाईट अँड यू हॅव टू यूज द आंबट कलर बॉटल. यू सीन द सिल्वर नायट्रेट सॉल्युशन. लॅबमध्ये सिल्वर नायट्रेट सॉल्युशन वापरलंय का? मग जर सिल्वर नायट्रेट सॉल्युशन लॅबमध्ये वापरलं असेल तर कुठल्या कलरच्या बॉटलमध्ये ठेवतात ते? हेलो, आई एम ऑडिबल? ओके, सोडियम नाइट्रेट यूज किया है लैब में कभी महक? ओके, तो सोडियम नाइट्रेट अगर यूज किया होगा तो किस कलर के बॉटल में रखा जाता है सोडियम नाइट्रेट को? ओके ओके ओके. Okay, screen is visible. Okay, all are getting whatever I am talking. जे काय मी बोलत आहे ते कळते का सर्वांना? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? Okay, okay. Please listen it well. You can write your answer in your own word. एग्जाम में आप आपके स्टाइल में आंसर लिख सकते हैं. दिस इज द जनरल गाइडलाइंस व्हाट यू हैव टू फॉलो. Okay. See, some examples are given there. Light sensitive chemicals: bromine, oleic acid, ethyl ether, potassium ferricyanide, silver salt, hydrobromic acid, sodium iodide. Okay. Then carcinogens, carcinogenic chemicals are there. Label that that container as it is a carcinogenic chemical. Okay. They or you can label it as a cancer suspect agents. Then second one, store according to hazardous nature of the chemicals. Example: flammable, corrosive. When necessary, store securely. Some examples are there: antimony compounds, acrylonitrile, arsenic compounds. Arsenic compounds are carcinogenic compounds. When you are studying with the arsenic, you have to take care of this particular thing. Then the benzene, chloroform, dimethyl sulfate, dioxane, vinyl chloride. हम बेंजीन के साथ भी खेलते हैं, हम क्लोरोफॉर्म के साथ भी खेलते हैं, हम डाइमिथिल सल्फेट के साथ भी खेलते हैं, डीएमएस. ओके, you know, you people know well the application of this chloroform and DMS. Okay, you have to take care while using this particular chemicals, or in the lab whenever these chemicals are there, at that time we have to store it at the secure place. No can take it easily, otherwise you know what are the that drawbacks of these chemicals. Now the general rules for the chemical storage: store chemicals inside the closable cabinet or in a sturdy shelf. Shelf should have a front edge lip to prevent the accidents and the chemical spills. Okay, that the height is given 3 by 4 inch height should be there for the that shelf. Then shelving should be secured to wall or floor. Ensure that all storage areas have doors with the locks. Keep chemical storage areas off limits to all students. Ventilate storage areas adequately. Organization: organize chemicals first by compatibility, not alphabetic that particular labeling. Store alphabetically within the compatible groups. Chemical segregation: now you have to separate out the chemicals according to their characteristics: acid, bases, flammable, non-flammable, corrosive, like that. Okay. Store acids in the dedicated acid cabinet. Nitric acid should be stored alone unless cabinet provides a separate compartment for the nitric acid. That care we have to take for storing the nitric acid. Store highly toxic chemicals in a dedicated lockable poison cabinet that has been labeled with the that particular highly visible sign. Store volatile and odoriferous chemicals in a ventilated cabinet. कोई केमिकल का स्मेल ज़्यादा आता है, बराबर है, तो उस कैबिनेट में क्या चाहिए, वेंटिलेशन प्रॉपर होना चाहिए, एयर जो है प्योर एयर इन एंड आउट होना चाहिए. स्टोर फ्लेमेबल्स इन एन अप्रूव्ड फ्लेमेबल लिक्विड स्टोरेज कैबिनेट. स्टोर वाटर सेंसिटिव केमिकल्स इन अ वाटर टाइट कैबिनेट. You know, NaOH is a hygroscopic one. At that time you have to that store that particular NaOH in the dry places. Okay, you have to restrict the contact with the water. In the storage, while you have to follow some rules. The first of all we have to see the do's, and second one is the don'ts. Do not place heavy materials, liquid chemicals and large containers on the high shelf. ज़्यादा ऊंचे हाइट पे नहीं रखना है. Do not store chemicals on the tops of the cabinets. Do not store chemicals on the floor, even temporarily. Do not store items on the bench tops in laboratory chemical suits or under sinks. Do not store chemicals on shelves above the eye level. Do not store chemicals with food and drink. Do not store chemicals in the personal staff refrigerators, even temporarily. Do not expose store chemicals to direct heat or sunlight or highly variable temperature. These things we have to take care of this thing. Proper use of chemical storage container. Never use food containers for the chemical storage. आपने टिफिन लेके गए और उसमें कुछ केमिकल घर पे ला रहे, डोंट डू दिस थिंग. ओके, मेक श्योर ऑल कंटेनर्स आर प्रॉपरली क्लोज. आफ्टर ईच यूज, carefully wipe down the outside of the container with a paper towel before returning it to the storage area. जब आप कोई केमिकल लेते हैं तो आपको क्या करना है, उसको वाइप करना है विद द हेल्प ऑफ द कॉटन और विद द हेल्प ऑफ द टिश्यू, दैट वट एवर द पेपर, फिल्टर पेपर यू आर यूजिंग. Properly dispose of the paper towel after use. Poor or incorrect chemical storage practices can lead to the inadvertent reaction between the incompatible materials with the potential to cause harm, fire or even explosion. Proper अगर storage नहीं रहेगा तो there is a chances of this tragedy. So many different things are there. Out of that, this whole part is not required for you. Few part is required. Most important reasons for the chemical storages are to provide for effective management of the chemicals, to lessen the risk of the fire, to prevent the accidental mixing in the emergencies, to minimize the exposure to corrosive and toxic chemicals, to comply with the relevant statutory security obligations. Okay, accident resulting from the poor chemical storage techniques are preventable. आप लैब में जो एक्सीडेंट होते हैं, दैट इज ड्यू टू, मोस्ट ऑफ द एक्सीडेंट हैपन ड्यू टू द स्टोरेज ऑफ द केमिकल्स, एंड वी कैन अवॉइड such a particular accident by keeping chemical at a safe place. These are the general consideration also given. Same things are there. You have to separate out the chemicals that I already said to you. That is one of the important things. Flammable liquid must not be stored in the ordinary domestic refrigerators. If any flammable liquid is there, don't put it in the domestic refrigerator. See, the flammable solids are also given. One of the question is there to you like that. How the hazardous chemicals are classified? Okay, you can write the answer in your own word or write a note on toxic, harmful or irritating chemicals. That all part we are going to discuss under this category. Okay, now we are at the flammable. Next part is the flammable or explosive hazard. Write a note on safe use of flammable and explosive chemicals. That part now we are going to see. See this flammable solids, flammable liquids we have seen. Don't put the flammable liquids in the domestic refrigerator. That is the care that we have to take. Solids other than those classified as the explosive, which are readily combustible or may cause fire through friction, they are called as the flammable solids. Solids liable for spontaneous combustion, solid which in contact with water emit flammable gases. Example आपको पता है, all are performing this test in the lab. आपको पता है, you have prepared the sodium fusion extract. Okay, तो what you observe? क्या पता चलता है? तो सोडियम मेटल आप क्या लेते हैं, फ्यूजन ट्यूब में लेते हैं. ओके, उसे फ्यूज करते, मतलब उसे हीट करते हैं. हीट करने के बाद यू आर एडिंग योर कंपाउंड इन इट. एट दैट टाइम यू सी द फायर इज देयर, राइट? मैं राइट और से रॉन्ग? Okay. That examples are given. See, whatever is there already, you have experienced all this thing in the lab, that you have to write in word. Okay, sodium is there, potassium compounds are there, aluminum is there, zinc dust is there, sodium benzoate is there. Okay, these are the some examples are given here. Then next, flammable liquids can cause a fire or explosion, or like many other substances, they can also cause serious health effects from the overexposure. Flammable liquids is any liquid having flash point below 100 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, that is a limit is given. Any mixture having components with flash point of the 100 degree Fahrenheit or say higher, the total of which make up 90% or more of the total volume of the mixture. The vapors of the flammable liquids often present the most serious hazard. The vapors can easily ignite or explode. Then flammable liquids vapors are heavier than air and may settle in the low spots or move significant distance from the liquid itself. Explosive limits is given LEL or UEL. Lower explosive limit is the lowest concentration that will ignite, and the UEL is nothing but the highest concentration that will ignite. If the vapor concentration is between LEL and UEL, there is a serious risk of the fire or say explosion. आग कब लग सकती है? तो the fire will be there when the LEL and UL vapor concentration is between the LEL and UEL. At that time there will be the fire. Flammable and combustible liquids are classified according to their flash points. आपको दिया है फ्लेमेबल लिक्विड्स कौन से हैं और कंबस्टिबल लिक्विड्स कौन से हैं. Liquids having flash points below 70 degree Fahrenheit and having boiling point below 100 degree Fahrenheit, they are called as the flammable liquids of the class 1. This is labeling is there, that is not important as far as your part is concerned. Flammable, safe handling fundamentals for this that particular flammable liquid. And okay, on this part we will see. Carefully read the manufacturer's label on the container before using or storing it. Practice good housekeeping in the flammable liquid storage areas. Okay, flammable or explosive, both you have to read the label, whatever mentioned on the bottle. Clean up the spill immediately, then place the rags used in a covered metal container. Only use approved metal safety containers or original manufacturer's container to the store flammable liquid. Keep the containers closed when not in use and store away from the exit of passageways. Then they use flammable liquids only where there is a plenty of ventilation. Keep flammable liquids away from the ignition sources such as open flames, sparks, smoking, cutting, welding, etc. This care we have to take while using that particular or say storing the flammable or say explosive chemicals. Don't take the tension of the exam. You can write the general answer for these questions in your own word. Just this is the you can say the brief idea or say basic things what you have to mention while writing the answer. See, next part of this particular topic is the procedure for working with the gases at pressure above or below. You know, we are using the cylinder in our lab, okay, and that procedure we should know while using this particular gas cylinder. Write down the procedures for storage of gas cylinder. Write the procedure for working with the gases at pressure. These types of questions are there in your exam, okay. Okay, gas cylinder never use without formal training. Minimize the number in a laboratory. Store extremely whenever possible. Cylinders are heavy and can do serious damage to you if they that particular fall. Ensure that they are chained when in use. Move only with a cylinder trolley. Use regulators and control equipment suitable for the gas concern. Consider the consequences if your cylinder is leaked. Cylinder handling and transportation. What care we have to take while handling with the cylinder. In the laboratory generally for the combustion or say to get the heat source we are using the LPG, and for the research purposes we are using the different kinds of the gas cylinders such as the nitrogen one, okay, oxygen cylinder we are using, nitrogen cylinder we are using. For the inert atmosphere nitrogen is used. While using all this cylinder we have to take this care of these particular things. Cylinder handling and the transportation. Upon receipt, visually inspect the cylinder for obvious defects such as the dent, large amount of the rust, and missing or loose safety caps. See, in your house, all are having the LPG gas. This particular whatever the care we are taking while using the LPG gas in our house, same care we have to take while using in the laboratory. You can write the answer in your own words. जेव्हा आपल्या घरी जब अपने घर पे एलपीजी का सिलेंडर आता है तो अपन क्या देखते हैं कि उसका प्रॉपर है कि नहीं है, कि लीक हो रहा है क्या, वो जो टैंक है दैट इज अ करोटेड, वो जो उसके ऊपर रश ज़्यादा है क्या, दैट थिंग्स यू हैव टू सी. दैट आंसर, सेम आंसर यू कैन राइट इन द एग्जाम. ओके. Cylinder should not be accepted unless identified with the appropriate labeling and all the agree with one another. See, I have to say about this particular cylinder. कितने लोग सिलेंडर चेक करते हैं, मतलब जब आपके घर पे एलपीजी का सिलेंडर आता है, when the LPG cylinder is coming at your house, what care you are taking for this cylinder? अजून any more? Okay, अजून anybody knows anything? Oh, very right, very right. That's the question I am supposed to ask. Ki that is a very much required thing. Expiry date is also mentioned on the cylinder. See, A, B, C, D coding is there. They are divided for January, February, March as a A, then the April, May, June as a B, then that particular July, August, September as a C group, and the next group is the October, November, December. On the gas you can find out this labeling is there along with the that particular year, A16 or say A24 or say B26. That indicates that cylinder is valid to use up to this limit only, means within this 3 months of that particular year that cylinder is not supposed to use. Okay, that is the indication. Very right answer, your answer, Komal. Now see, cylinder, I have mentioned so many things that are there in the particular notes. I am not going to read these things. Cylinder storage, what care we have to take? Double restraint cylinders with non-combustible material. Label full versus empty. Means we have to label if the more than one cylinder is there, at that time we have to label which is the full one and which is the empty one. Sign up for the hazardous gases. Keep away from the traffic areas. Store in fire resistance, well ventilated dry areas. Keep away from the flame sources, sparks. These are the things we have to take care while storing the gases or say working on the pressure gases, pressure gas cylinder. What we are not supposed to do, never roll a cylinder to move it. बरेचसे लोक जे आहेत ते रोलिंग करत घेऊन जातात, तसं नाही करायला पाहिजे. नेवर कॅरी अ सिलेंडर बाय द वॉल. नेवर लीव द सिलेंडर unsecured. Never force improper attachment onto the wrong cylinder. Never grease or oil the regulator, valve or fitting of oxygen cylinder. Never refill a cylinder. Never attempt to mix gases in a cylinder. This care we have to take while using the gas cylinder at different pressures. Okay. Now this is the sixth part or say six different part of your syllabus I have completed. Two questions are there on the storage of the gas cylinder and working with the gases at the pressures. Gases at pressures is nothing but a gas cylinder. Okay, you have to remember. Now safe storage and the disposal of the waste chemicals. Their recovery 3R. Recovery, recycling, reuse of the laboratory chemicals. The four questions are there. What is the chemical waste? Write a note on recycling of the laboratory chemicals. How to dispose the waste chemicals of the laboratory. Comment on the chemical waste management and disposal. Or another question is there, write a note on recovery, recycling and reuse of the laboratory chemicals. So many people nowadays working on this 3 hours. Last 3 days, last 2 days, in the last lecture also, last to last lecture, Vadva sir talked regarding the principles of the green chemistry, and you people now have to think about the principles of the green chemistry. The very much important that the principle is nothing but the 3R. Okay, recovery or reuse and recycle. Okay, you have to recover the chemical, then recycle it and reuse it. See, I will provide you this thing, okay, on a mail or say WhatsApp group. You don't worry. Okay. We will come to the point is that the chemical waste management and disposal. See, when the non-hazardous waste is there, then we can manage that particular waste. If it is a hazardous waste, the different methods are there. General guidelines, storage, package, special categories, metal waste, radioactive and mixed waste, biological waste, unknown and orphan waste. Okay, waste management, non-hazardous waste. See, use oil, used oil, uncontaminated. The word is very much important. If uncontaminated used oil is there, is not considered hazardous waste. Label that container as a used oil, which is a non-hazardous waste. Uncontaminated PPE, that is a gloves or say wipes. Triply rinse glassware, bottles, dropper, pipettes, salt, KCl, NaCl, NO2, CO3, sugars, amino acids. Then the inert materials. Waste management general guidelines that we have to see. Secure and lock waste storage area. Wherever you are keeping the waste, you have to secure that place, keep it locked. Post sign to warn others. त्याचे पुढे जाऊन काय जर इम्पॅक्ट होणार असतील, इफेक्ट होणार असतील ते तुम्ही त्याच्यावर सांगितले पाहिजे. कीप एरिया वेल व्हेंटिलेटेड, प्रोव्हाइड फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर अँड अलार्म्स, फिल किट्स, प्रोव्हाइड सुटेबल पीपीई, प्रोव्हाइड आय वॉश, सेफ्टी शॉर्ट्स, डू नॉट वर्क अलोन, ensure against leakage, that particular thing. Keep gas cylinder separate, keep radioactive material separate, know how long waste can be stored, provide for timely pickup. Waste storage guidance, containers should not react with the waste being stored. कंटेनर की कोई भी रिएक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए. नो हाइड्रोक्लोरिक एसिड इन द दैट पर्टिकुलर ग्लास. यू नो ग्लास के साथ HF की रिएक्शन होती है, ग्लास डिजॉल्व हो सकती है फ्लोरिक एसिड में, हाइड्रोक्लोरिक एसिड में, इसलिए हाइड्रोक्लोरिक एसिड इज नॉट स्टोर्ड इन द ग्लास बॉटल. That is again the question comes in the competitive exam. Similar waste may be mixed if they are compatible. Whenever possible, waste from the incompatible hazard classes should not be mixed. Example, organic solvent with the oxidizer. Container must be kept closed except during the actual transfer. Do not leave a funnel in a hazardous waste container. Chemical containers that have been triple rinsed and air dried in a ventilated area can be placed in the that particular trash or say recycled. Waste general guidelines. Certain metals cause disposal problem when mixed with the flammable liquids or other organic liquids. Pressures can build up in a waste vessel. Corrosion can occur in a storage vessel. Secondary contaminant is necessary. Glass waste containers can break. Okay. Waste management, recycle, reuse, re-distill if possible. Dispose by incineration if possible. Incineration is not the same as open burning. Incineration is not as same as the open burning. Incineration is different one. Okay. Incinerate करना है, you know, तुम्ही बघितलं असेल सिव्हिल हॉस्पिटलला वगैरे गेलात किंवा एखाद्या लॅबमध्ये गेलात तर जी इंजेक्शनची निडल असते, जी निडल असते सिरिंजची, ती निडल हॉस्पिटलमध्ये काय करतात, इन्सिनरेट करतात. इन्सिनरेट करतात म्हणजे काय, त्याचं टीप जे आहे ते जाळतात जेणेकरून ते काही ब्लडचं इन्फेक्शन आहे ते ट्रान्सफर होऊ नये. बघितलंय का कोणी? Anybody observe this in the hospital? When the staff collecting the blood sample with the help of this needle, that syringe, the needle of the syringe is incinerated, the tip of that needle is burned. Okay, that machine is there. Okay, if you have not seen, visit to the hospital and see this. Okay, in the government hospital especially, that things are you can find out. Mercury metal disposal: collect the pure liquid mercury in the sealable container, label as a mercury for reclamation. Place broken thermometers and mercury debris in a sturdy sealable plastic bag, plastics or glass jar. Label container hazardous waste. थर्मामीटर मध्ये मर्क्यूरी असतो. यू नो थर्मामीटर में आप जो लेवल देखते हैं अप एंड डाउन लेवल, दैट इज ड्यू टू द मर्क्यूरी. एंड if the thermometer is broken down, mercury spills out. Okay, at that time you have to take care of this thing. Never use a that broom to clean up mercury. Spread smaller beds contaminates the broom. Okay, broom झाड़ू के साथ कभी मर्क्यूरी जो थर्मामीटर है उसको कलेक्ट नहीं करना है. Okay, now the next, mixed waste, chemical radioactive. This waste must be minimized, heavily regulated. Biological waste are there, medical waste nothing but blood, tissue, all these things are there. See the method you can use: evaporation you can do, adsorption you can do, precipitation you can do. Okay, for the recovery, for the purpose of the recovery, this method you can also use. Okay, or say sometime dilution is also there, the method for the recovery. Hydrolysis is there, oxidation reduction is also there for the recovery of the मेटल. रिकवर करने के बाद उसे क्या करना होता है, रिसाइकल करना होता है बाय अडॉप्टिंग द पर्टिकुलर गाइडलाइंस, एंड आफ्टर रिसाइकलिंग you can reuse. Okay, disposal of chemicals, organic solvents, contaminated organic solvents such as the acetone, alcohol. Okay, don't pour it into the sink. Okay, this solvent should be put into the metal safety cans. If you plan to use the large quantity of the organic solvent, you should buy a safety can for your lab. However, these are the for use only by people using the specific areas which they serve. Every time you add a compound to the safety cans, you must do the following: list the compound name and quantity each time. Estimate quantity in millimeter. For mixture, estimate the component quantities. एक can रखना होता है. If you have the waste, that you can store it in the one can. After adding, every time you have to keep it the record. Okay, do not put acids in the solvent waste cans. This includes electro polishing, electrolytes, and that particular etchants. Non-organic waste. Then the glassware, use only the pyrex, or say you can say the borosilicate. Okay, glassware, or say shatterproof glassware. Never use crack or say cheap glassware. Insert tubing properly into stopper. Broken glass that is contaminated with harmful materials must be disposed of separately. Gas cylinder, all cylinder must be stood upright and placed behind the chain of wire and restraint. These so many things are there that are not useful as far as the your part is concerned. See, on-site recycling and waste treatment, that is important. Recycling by the redistribution, recycling of the metals, gold, mercury, lead, silver, recycling of the solvents, clean for reuse. Okay, then distill for the purity, recycling of the oil, recycling of the e-waste. Chemical recycling, reuse by other in the organization or community, an active chemical exchange program. Beware of accepting unusable chemical. Reuse in experiments in the laboratory, exchange for the credit with the suppliers by agreement. What should not be recycled? Gas cylinder past their pressure testing date. जे गैस सिलेंडर की एक्सपायरी डेट हो चुकी है, that should not be the recycled. Use disposable pipettes and series. Chemicals and assay kits past their expiration. Obviously degraded chemicals. Use tubing, gloves and wipes. They are not recycled at all. What should be recycled or redistributed? Excess unopened chemicals, excess laboratory glassware, unused or से clean, consumables with no expiration, जिसकी एक्सपायरी डेट नहीं रहती है, that you can reuse, solvent that can be purified, lower purity suitable for secondary use, precious or toxic metals you can reuse. For reuse in lab or for exchange require chemical knowledge for lab reuse. I said earlier. Recover from solution, evaporate, then ignite, reduce with the other things. See, require chemical knowledge for these things. Okay, recover from the solution. You can use the method evaporation. Another method is the ignition. Okay, and the third method is the reduction with the reduction was the oxidation. Then the electroplating also we can use method as a recovery method. Metal recovery, ion exchange, then ash. Chemical recycling, silver. Example is given the silver recycling. Recovering from the COD test. Recovery from the photographic fixing solution. Then solvent can be recovered by distillations. Practical example is given. Hexane contaminated with a small amount of the inert solvent used in the preparation lab. Chemistry student give a finite quantity of solvent, then had a recycle for subsequent experiment. Acetone 50% in water for washing. Acetone, that azeotrope is 88.5%, which is then diluted back with the water for reuse. Then use that particular recovered rather than the evaporation. Student will redistill 60% recovery. Third wash was the capture and use as the first wash, not on the next experiment. Solvent recycling, HPLC is there, GPC is there, chromatography techniques are there that can recycle your compound. You can reduce the waste in the lab by adopting the microscale technique. Repetitive things are there. Now the next part is identification. For the disposal of this particular waste, we have to talk about the disposal. In that we have to segregate that which type of this particular waste is there. Okay, according to we have to take the action on this. This particular lab glassware is not suitable for recycling as its melting point is higher than that of the conventional glass. Okay, you can't recycle it. Then you have to dispose it. Broken the glass should be collected in the container and disposed in a large containers by the technical staff. It is not to be placed in the normal waste bin. Okay, sharp such as the syringes and that scalpel blades should be collected in containers labeled sharps. Biological waste such as the agar place waste from the dissection etc. should be separated and collected separately where appropriate. This can be autoclave. Autoclaving should be adopted. Procedure for recycling material disposal of the waste from the laboratories. So many repetitive part is there. In the lab, solid waste is highly there, aqueous waste is also there, organic waste is also there. These types of the waste you can observe in the lab. This is the identification or say segregation of this particular waste: solid waste, aqueous waste, solid waste or say liquid waste or say organic waste. Okay. Requirement for the segregation of chemical waste: solid and liquid waste should be segregated from the each other. You do not need to segregate your liquid waste. Aqueous and organic waste can be combined so long as the components are not reactive when mixed. This is true for all waste. Suggested storage location for the chemical waste. You can collect that temporarily this whatever the waste, okay, and any container or say bottles, okay, fitted with the that particular lid, okay. Then temporary waste should be the single bottle that is used in the hood and then emptied into the carboy or say designated for waste pickup. Okay, temporary is nothing but must empty into the carbory at the end of each day. Note that non-flammable secondary storage containers are recommended as opposed to plastic bins as shown in the that one of the picture is there, which says the use avoid the use of the plastic container. Now see, now next part is of the next part is disposal of chemical in the sanitary sewer system. आता तुम्ही बऱ्याच जणांना माहीत आहे की डायरेक्ट जे आहे पाईपलाईनद्वारे केमिकल वेस्ट हा कॅरी केला जातो आणि तो कुठेतरी खाडीत किंवा समुद्राच्या पाण्यात किंवा नदीत सोडला जातो. ते एक वे आहे त्याला ट्रीट करण्याचं, डिस्पोज करण्याचं केमिकल वेस्टला. Sanitary sewer disposal of laboratory chemicals, you can see in that some chemicals that are water soluble and low toxicity can be safely discarded in the sanitary sewer. Certain criteria must be met in order of materials to be safely that poured down in the drain. Only small quantities are allowed in the system. Sewer disposal मध्ये small quantity पाहिजे. आलं लक्षात. Some chemicals that are neither lower regulated nor hazardous waste and that are either simple inorganic salts or organic material readily digestible by the microorganism in the water treatment plant can generally be disposed of down the drain in the limited quantities in the sanitary sewer disposal methods. You can use this. See the different things are mentioned here. Materials that may be disposed of through the sanitary sewer system. Materials appropriate for sewer disposal in limited quantities must be meet the following criteria. They are liquids and relatively water soluble, easily biodegradable or amenable to treatment by the wastewater treatment process, are simple salt solutions of low toxicity in the organic substance, have a pH between 5.5 and 12. Chemical that can be simply disposed of down the drain include biological compounds and cellular constituents such as protein, nucleic acid. These are there. Okay, you can put that dispose in the sewer system. When discharging waste to the sanitary sewer, you should have to never dispose. Okay, you should never dispose anything that might lead to the that particular storm sewer rather than the sanitary sewer. Use a sink that does not have a history of clogging or overflowing. Use a sink in your laboratory. Flush with the at least 5-fold excess of water or 100-fold excess chemical after drain disposal to thoroughly rinse out the sink and sink trap and dilute the waste. Wear gloves, eye protection and laboratory coat. What can go down the drain? During the waste determination process, that whatever the CHO will determine whether or not you may put the remains of your chemical process down the sink to the sanitary sewer. We have to take direct discharge, you can't do. Okay, sewer disposal is nothing but whatever the waste is generated in the lab, that is thrown out of the lab through the one particular system designed by the particular that particular organization. Okay, the people from the MIDC area, you can see that whatever the firm or say organization or say companies are there, they are having the pipeline. Okay, they are mentioning it as a waste treatment plant. Okay, they are leaving out there whatever the liquid waste is there, they are discharging directly with the help of this particular technique, sewer disposal. Okay. See, following materials should not be disposed with this particular sanitary sewer system. You can see I will provide all this material to you. Radioactive material you have to avoid. You can't throw it in the this particular sewer system. Raw chemical waste, then the chlorinated hydrocarbon waste. These are the so many examples are there. Okay. Anyone can see this? Okay. Another important part of this particular topic is the incineration. Incineration. Incineration is defined as the burning of municipal, biomedical and hazardous waste which process emits poisonous and toxic fume is hereby prohibited. Incineration of solid waste is most costly method of waste disposal with known. Incineration can be regarded as either a pre-treatment of hazardous waste prior to a final disposal. अभी देखो जैसे आई सेड अर्लियर कि जो प्रिकिंग नीडल होती है दैट प्रिकिंग नीडल इज इंसिनरेटेड बिकॉज इट इज ए इजी टेक्निक ओके मतलब कंटेमिनेशन रोकना है इसलिए उसको क्या किया जाता है इंसिनरेट किया जाता है what is the incineration and the transportation is very much important part multi-modal transport a recommendation on the transport of dangerous goods so called as the UN model regulations or say orange book is there road how you can transport the hazardous chemicals by rail or say inland waterways sea air see these are the routes by which the chemicals comes to the laboratories. When the chemicals are carried by the hand, they should be placed in carrying container or acid carrying bucket to protect against the breakage and the spillage. And then rubber buckets can be bought from the chemistry store if they are not available in your lab. When chemicals are transported on the wheeled cart, the cart should be stable under the load and have the wheel large enough to negotiate uneven surface without the tripping or say stopping suddenly. Provisions for the safe transport of the small quantities of flammable liquids. Now we are discussing about the transportation of the hazardous chemical. Okay, if you are bringing it with the help of the hand at that time, you should have the another container. And what should be the requirement for the transportation? The packaging, then the containerization of the waste, labeling of the containers, vehicle requirement and the licensing, thereof driver training, licensing and the responsibilities. Sometime when you are traveling on the highway, you can see the label is mentioned on the vehicles which transporting the chemicals. आपने देखा होगा कि बहुत बार कि रास्ते पे से जब कंटेनर जाते हैं केमिकल्स के तो उसके ऊपर लिखा रहता है फ्लेमेबल लिक्विड ओके देन द दैट फायर कैप्चरिंग गैसेस आर देयर लाइक दैट मेंशनिंग इज देयर मीन्स वी हैव टू प्रॉपरली मेंशन दैट व्हीकल एंड जो कुछ व्हीकल्स जो कुछ गाड़ियाँ केमिकल का ट्रांसपोर्ट करती है उसका लाइसेंस भी सेपरेट मिलता है आरटीओ इज प्रोवाइडिंग द स्पेशल लाइसेंस ओके उस व्हीकल का पर्टिकुलर टाइप देख के उसको लाइसेंस इशू किया जाता है एंड दैट व्हीकल्स आर सपोज टू कैरी दैट पर्टिकुलर hazardous chemical or say waste. What emergency action that action we have to find out or say employ when the road accident causes the leakage or spillage of the hazardous waste at that time we have to find out that location then the which type of that waste is there okay and accordingly we have to take the action on that. Okay, anybody is having any question they may ask. From my side these all the general things whatever required for the safety of the lab I have notified to you. Whatever the questions are there you can answer in your own word. Anybody is having any query? Okay, if no query will be there then we will stop here. Thanks to all the participants who join this session. Yeah. Okay, okay, no issue. You can start it. Thank you.